Do you want me to talk a little bit about the integration with GIS and accounting software, that type of thing, while we're waiting for Jim to come on here? Good?
Yeah, Ray.
Or do you want to wait?
Yeah, if you could start with that, that'd be great.
Okay. So there's a couple different options on how we would work with either GIS or accounting. By far, the majority of our customers have us do those things in batch. So when we're talking about, let's talk about GIS first. And I guess my first question to you is, where is your best source of parcel information?
It's really with Cuyahoga County.
Okay. And do you know how often you guys get that from them today?
About never.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you're a little like, is your GIS up to date with that, or?
Actually, I think the GIS, Josh isn't here to speak, but I think the GIS is up to date with current parcel information.
Okay, so there's somehow they're getting that from the county, I would imagine, and putting that into your GIS. Or you're updating it. Yes, got it. That must be. So anyway, let's just make that assumption. So today you guys are getting some periodic from the county. You're putting that in the GIS. But in your current system, you're saying it's not updated. And what are you guys using for permitting and stuff again?
We use WebQA.
WebQA. I'm sorry. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So WebQA isn't getting that. Okay. So we got a couple options there. First option would be we could just take the file that the county is giving you today and load that into CitizenServe at whatever frequency they'll give it to you. That's just a flat file we would load in for the parcel data. We can bring over an unlimited number of custom fields. So if you want to track number of stories or years sold, year last sold, last owner, anything that they have on that file, we can create custom fields and bring all those attributes into the parcel database on our side.
Okay.
And if you're only getting that information periodically from the county, I wouldn't talk much about this second option, which is a real-time integration with your GIS. But by far the simplest way, and that the batch load of the parcel data is included with your subscription, and we'll do that as frequently as you want to get that to us, and there's no charge.
Yeah, and our biggest concern is when ownership changes to those parcels, and that's what we probably want to make sure to work with the county to get that update, maybe weekly or monthly, so that we've got current ownership data within the system.
Yep. And I'll tell you, if you can get the county as an example to write that file to our FTP site, let's say weekly, we'll write something and pick it up weekly, and we wouldn't charge you for that. But if we got to go out to their FTP site and grab it, then there would be a charge to do that.
Got it.
Or you can just set it up on your side just to send it to us somehow or something like that. But the onus on that is that you got to get the file to us, and that's what's included in the subscription. But once you do that, we'll update it as often as you want. That would be my suggestion for you guys, what it sounds like.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Right. Then on the GIS side, we can do the same thing with any layers that you want to bring into CitizenServe. So if you wanted to bring over let's say you guys are maintaining your parcel layer or your fire hydrant, whatever layers that you want to bring over, we'll bring those over. We'll bring them over as frequently as you want to get those files to us and update them in CitizenServe, and that's in batch. We can go get those real time, but unless you guys are changing your layers very frequently, I wouldn't suggest paying the cost to go real-time GIS integration. That would be one thing. If we integrate with your GIS, we could get the parcel information, we could get the layers in real time, and that would be $5,000.
Okay. Okay, good to know. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody here, GIS in terms of doing real-time integration, or doesn't seem like we.
Yeah, and you can always move to that later if it, for whatever reason that we don't know now, it makes sense down the road. You can go to that time too.
Sure. Okay.
Now on the accounting software, so like when someone comes in for a building permit to pay for it, do they pay for that at the building permit counter today?
Yes, they do.
And then how does that get into your financial system today?
That's a good question, Harry. You know.
Well, then there would be a report generated at the end of the day, and then it would be put into the cash receipt voucher.
Okay. So we basically generate a report at the end of the day and then put it into the cash receipt voucher.
And
yep. So we would
allocate it to each fund. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, your funding permit, your surcharges, and everything else.
Okay.
Billing fees.
So we would create that same, well, we call that like a daily closeout report, and we'll make that report look however you want it to facilitate your reconciliation. We will do all the, we don't have to, but we can do all of the account distributions in our fee setup. So every line item on every fee can be associated with a different GL account. So you don't necessarily have to do the allocation on the other end. We can do all that within CitizenServe. And we can show that on the reconciliation report. And we can also create a file in whatever format that WebQA, are they your financial system?
We were financial system is
SunGuard.
yeah, SunGuard.
Okay, yeah, that's not a problem. So we'll just create it in the layout that SunGuard needs to import. So they put that on a drive. You guys pick it up and process it after the reconciliation. So you'd have the reconciliation report that like example, building department would look at. They would compare that to their cash that they have in their drawer. Accounting would get that file, hand them the cash, and this other file to be uploaded into the GL that's already allocated to each account number. And that's all included in your subscription.
And then what about credit card payments?
So the credit card payments, you'll need to pick a credit card payment processor, someone like categorize.net or PayPal or ETS. We have about a dozen that we've already done integration with. And if you pick one of the ones that we've already, or using one of the ones that we already have integration with, there will not be any charge to you. We'll set that up, you know, for when people are applying and paying for their permits online. If you need to use one that's not on that list, then there would be a one-time charge of $5,000. And then the next customer that comes along that wants to use it, we would let them use that for free. We don't have any financial relationships with any of the payment processors, so we don't have you know, something, backroom agreement that we take a certain % of what they pay through us. You don't get involved in the selection of that, but you're welcome to use any of the payment processors that we have already done integration with. And I believe those were on the list when I sent the order form. Let me pull that up. That list is there, but I think we've added a couple since then even.
Okay, so we've got an authorized. Sorry, what was that, Mike?
Authorized.net, yeah.
Okay.
Not a problem. It's already done, so we would just implement that for you. That would be included in your subscription.
Yeah, I think we're the first community was asked to add them. So.
So that's how those would work.
Okay.
And then on that daily closeout report, we can separate those off. You know, like I said, we can make that daily closeout report look like whatever you wanted to that facilitates your reconciliation process.
Okay. I think any other payment integrations questions or anything? Yeah, Ray, well, I got you too. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about, I mean, just kind of maybe some basic backbones of the systems, like, you know, how it's, you know, stores data, you know, who owns the data when it's stored, redundancy. It's kind of like 9 and 10 on the list I sent over.
Yep, no problem. So just kind of a, you know, bigger picture. CitizenServe, we've been in business for 14 years, and for that entire time, we've always been a web-based software, which means all you've ever needed to access CitizenServe is browser and access to the internet. So there's no other software that needs to be downloaded. You can access CitizenServe from any place. You can save documents from anywhere that you're accessing CitizenServe. We've also been, for all 14 years, we've always been software as a service. So we've got a lot of experience in kind of our platform. We didn't start with, the AS400 and move it over and bolt stuff onto it. We've never acquired another company or another company's software and moved it in. So, with the online data being a cloud system for 14 years, we absolutely realize that we have no claim on your data, don't want any claim. You can have that data in our database that we use is just Microsoft SQL. And in that database, it maintains all the files are in there also. So anything that is ever uploaded is saved. You can have that database when you leave or anytime in between. If you wanted us to write something out for you guys monthly, write your SQL database out, we'd write it out for you at that frequency and put it on your FTP site or our FTP site, and you have access to it anytime, both during and then after if you were to move on to something else. On the data storage side, we will store an unlimited amount of data for you for no charge. So we're never going to come back and say, hey, you've hit your data limit on those documents and you're going to be charged more. We don't do that. We will also keep everything in perpetuity if you want us to. So if you, 5 years from now, you go back to a permit and you're looking at a set of plans, those plans are going to be there. You don't have to unarchive them or anything like that. On the technology side, we are hosted in a company called I.O., and you can look them up online. And we have a data center here in Phoenix, and we have a data center in New Jersey. It's live replication between those two facilities, so it's redundant. If Phoenix went down, New Jersey would be up and running. And also in each facility, we keep 8 backups. The technology itself in the I.O., we have redundant everything, redundant power, redundant electricity, redundant internet. So that facility, when you look at it, you'll understand the class data center that it is in. It's audited by, Jim, is a Price, I always forget this, is a Price Waterhouse that does the audit now? For I.O.?
I don't know. It's somebody, but they do
either Price or Deloitte.
They do SSAE 16, SOC 1 and SOC 2, and they also have 100% uptime. I can't find it here. 100% uptime SLA. So they're a really good facility. So.
Any other questions on that? Did I cover everything, or?
This is Mike Flood. I'm the IT manager for the city. One of the pain points with the current system is just responsiveness or lack of responsiveness. A lot of latency. It has changed over time. What kind of assurances could we get that we would maintain a reasonable amount of responsiveness with the system? Is this all virtualized, that you can allocate more resources to it easily?
Jim, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, we don't actually have those kind of issues. I'm not sure why. We continually, we're kind of a vertically scaling, organization, and, really what we do is, every 18 months we put a new server in place, or newer servers, so we're always running on, things that are more current, faster, better, quicker. It's a niche market, I mean, we have thousands of users, but we don't have millions of users. So, the performance hasn't really been difficult for us to maintain. I mean, the biggest thing I think with our model is we're a subscription, we're pay-as-you-go. We work our butts off from a service perspective so that our customers want to renew their subscriptions. So, if we do get complaints about anything, and that includes speed, we can address it really quickly. And we also we monitor the whole stack, from the firewall, database, the application servers, so we know when there's a processor issue, a bandwidth issue, whether it's an application server issue or a malformed query, you know, some inefficient query that needs optimization. You know, those are things that, you know, because we have thousands of customers and hundreds of jurisdictions depending on us, we probably do a lot more than, you know, any one entity would do to manage performance. So.
And I mean, your question in terms of are we virtualized? We are, but we're not. We're a multi-tenant environment, so we're not taking our installation and running it separately for you and can allocate more resources that way. But also that multi-tenant model really does help us in the context of our ability to have a performing application.
Thank you.
Like I said, I mean, we've been in software as a service for 14 years. We're not new to this in this environment, and we've, you know, the same environment that we've been running on, we've been improving over the last 14 years. So there's a lot of experience behind us, and I think when you talk to our customers, that's kind of the best way to get an understanding of kind of what they see from a performance perspective. Any other questions? Things I can help you with?
User-defined fields. How much customization is available to add different data structure?
It's unlimited, and Jim will show you that today. But we can, I mean, basically, we always start out with kind of a blank sheet and create custom fields to modify everything, you know, the way that you need it to work. And
so we can do custom fields on, and it's really important in our business because, you know, really when you go into a local jurisdiction, there's a lot of configuration or customization that needs to happen, right? So, you know, we really set up the system so we don't have to write code to create a new permit application or a new case type and stuff like that. So really all your property data can have an unlimited number of custom fields. Your contact information, I mean, we're looking here at, you know, kind of contractors, electricians, the different contacts, and they all have, you know, you can customize the fields that are in that. So like this is the electrical, and, you know, we've got a master license, a expiration date, some other information here. So there's, you know, we can set up custom fields, and the custom fields actually are, we've got, I don't know, probably 40 different field types, you know, so, and these can be for, we can do custom fields on activities like inspection forms, on review activities, the applications themselves, the case types, the information that needs to be collected for a case type or request type. And really, and then you can use the custom fields throughout the application. So when you're doing reports, you can use the custom fields. You can mark these for searching. You can track changes in history if you want to, on one of your custom fields, you want to do that. You can secure mask custom fields if you've got like tax ID numbers or birth dates or something like that. You can control really how the fields behave on the portal. So I think I got to pick a custom field here. So let's pick a date field. And so here I can kind of control, you know, if something shows up on the portal or not, whether it's, you know, do not display, read only on the portal, whether we're going to let people edit it, whether they can edit it with new entries or not. You know, so like maybe we'll collect something like a business license, tax ID number, but we don't want them to change that again, you know, unless they apply for a new license. And so we can also display things on the portal, but we can control formatting and formats. And it's just really, that's one of the, probably I would call it the critical components of, you know, doing community development systems is, you know, the ability to create any kind of application, any kind of activity, any kind of form, and then having that, you know, those custom fields be available throughout. You know, I can put it on a template, I can put it in a report, I can search on it, I can track history without having to write any code, right? So
I would just kind of, a couple things there, just to put that into perspective. We, you know, so we've been in business for 14 years. We've also always done the support model that we currently have. So anything you ever need to have done to the system, to configure it, to change, to work the way that you want to, we'll do that. It's included in your subscription, and there's never a charge for that. And we've been doing it for 14 years. So a lot of what you'll see in CitizenServe, this configurability, is because we do continue to do that for all of our customers to change the software under their subscription. And so we have made the system easy to configure because we're doing it. It's not like we have a third-party implementation group that goes out and does the implementations, and then they have ideas on what needs to happen to make the software easier to configure, but it's their completely disjoint from the company or the product group that's managing that product. So we roll out a lot of changes to help our ability to configure, because that's part of our business, is to make any changes or any reports, any training that you need to have done. That's all those things are included in your subscription, and there's never a charge.
It is another important thing is it's all on the fly. So I can change an application form for a permit. I can add a field, get rid of a field on it, and everything's happening while the system's live. So the next time somebody pulls up that application, they're going to see the changes in that. So it's sort of a that's when you're doing 24/7. On-the-fly configuration is really important. We don't want to have to roll out a new version of anything, when we're trying to be up 24/7. So.
Update for other cities. Does everybody else get that update?
Yes. Yeah, we keep. We're kind of like using Google or Amazon. We use internet technologies and when everybody's on the same version of the software. So we tend to if we add something major that's new, we make it. Sometimes we'll make it. We can turn it on and turn it off based on the installation or the implementation for the customer. So, that's sort of, and probably twice a month we do updates. We really found it's better to update the software on a regular basis and make small incremental changes and get feedback from our customers, as opposed to, doing a major release every year and a half or 2 years, because, it's a lot of times it's too much. And we get so many good ideas from our customers. Our turnaround on changes is sometimes it's just 90 days. We design it, test it, and then put it into production. And if we screw something up, we can take it away really quick too. We can, it's all, we can very easily, if we mess something up, we can fix it really quick because there's only one version of the code, right? So we don't have to worry about the 50 different versions that are out there and custom code and all the different customer implementations.
And with CitizenServe, you have access to all of our software that we have and that we create in the future. So we're not going to get to a point where we roll out a feature like when we did the document markup tool, the plan review software. We don't charge our customers for that. There's not an additional charge for that. If you're a customer of ours, you get to use that. We don't, you'll never have to see a upgrade fee from us where, with perpetual software, you get the current version, and then 2-3 years down the road, they come up with the new version of the software, and they're going to discontinue support for the old version of the software. And if you want to get on the new software, you got to re-up to get on that software. We don't do that, and we've never raised the price on an existing customer in our 14 years history on what they pay for the software.
That's structured through. You probably want to see how it works, right?
Well, I guess, yeah.
Mike, are you okay? Michaeletta, on the data structure?
Yeah. Just one follow-up, Ray and Jim. You mentioned your team is able to configure or add custom fields. Do we have that capability on the customer side as well?
Yep, we can train you on that, and you can do all that yourself.
Okay.
Use the same tool. But the other thing I would say with that, just to kind of our support services, the people that work there are the same people that do the implementations, and they rotate through. So they know and they have the skills when your request comes in to get it knocked out quickly. 80% of the requests that we get each and every day to the support center are done that very same day. Some things are going to take longer, like if you want to revamp all your fees, or council came up with a whole new bunch of permits. And that 80% are requests major requests like that also. But the majority of stuff you want to field added, you can do it yourself, or you can ask us and we'll have it done that day.
We also do unlimited training as part of the support. So, and that includes end user training, and also technical training, or training in the administrative features and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys want to run us through a couple of different case types. Just kind of show us how the system works on a day-to-day basis, and I think we're obviously concerned about how we as city employees are going to interface with it, and then also how people would access the portal, how our customers would access that. So.
Okay. Great.
Okay, so you want me to just go down the list here? It looks like we're kind of on number 3, and I can show you the. Let me show you the interface here. So I'm logged in as one of our customers right now, and basically this is his interface, and I just wanted to show you really quick the metrics area here before I jump over to our demo environment. The metrics here are kind of they're pretty extensive. He's a supervisor, so he's got pending tasks and appointments on all the staff here. You can click on the task and kind of drill down on that. You can also drill down on the file numbers here. So that's something that's cool. We can do map metrics too. So when you click on the metrics here, you can pull those up and see those on a map too. So it's kind of a pretty cool. But let me switch over to kind of our demo world, and I'll show you the kind of the interface the staff looks at, and then we'll jump over and do a permit, or actually we'll do a code case. Let me see if I can. I'm just going to do a code case really quick here. So this is a code enforcement officer person, and there's another interface for these citizens.
Hey Jim, before you, I should have said this earlier, but when Jim was showing you those metrics, that's an example. You can ask us for any metric, and we can put it on your homepage. So it doesn't have to be like a predefined set of metrics that you have to choose from. I mean, you can customize that to have the metrics that you want that are in existence. But also as part of support, you could say, hey, I want to see a metric that looks like this, and we'll create that and add it to your homepage.
So I went to one of the portal pages. This is kind of our demo portal, and so if somebody wants to do a code enforcement complaint, they can. And this is a HTML5 responsive design. So if I go in here and shrink this interface down, it's going to kind of morph into a different look and feel that looks good on a smartphone or a tablet, right? The menus shrink, and kind of get a better looking interface, and that's kind of where things are going now. It's really want to have an internet capability or a web page where we kind of fit into a smartphone and that sort of thing. So if I wanted to do a code case, and I'll just show you how we would do it online, and we would just submit a complaint. I don't have a login. If I wanted to create one, I'd go over here to register, and I'd pick one of my contact types. Keep in mind that all these contact types are customizable, so you can ask for different custom fields, different required fields by contact type. So for a contractor, you might want to have them upload a copy of their state license or their insurance, or enter their insurance expiration date, stuff like that. So that's kind of cool, but I already have a login, so let me log in here real quick. And so basically it kind of takes me right to the complaint because I already clicked on that. And I'll just say that, we've got neighbor has weeds, spell checking's all built in here too, so that just comes with the browser. We work with we really focus on browser and device independence. So, we want to work with any new devices that come out, any browser updates that the major browsers, whether it's Apple, Microsoft, Chrome, and Google, or Firefox. Those are kind of the major ones we work with. And you can set up any kind of case types or file types here, and this is what this is asking me for. And I can put in, you can set up case types that relate to an address or don't relate to an address, and ask for valid addresses if you want. This one here is asking me for a valid address, and I can put in information here, and this is going to go out to the lookup table, find my property information, and I can submit this. Now this doesn't have I can also save for later on all the permit types, licenses, everything I can save for later. This one doesn't have a thing to upload a picture, right? We can do dynamic forms, and so let me show you that. We'll go over here to the 311 request, and I'll click on submit a request. And so this could be like a restaurant complaint, like the bar has rats in back. So we can put in a request. We can make it, specific. These are different types, so it's all customizable. But I can put in that this is related to a specific address, and I'll throw the address in here. And we'll put in, we'll get our address here. So this is sort of the dynamic capabilities. We've kind of, set up these different categories in this example. And, based on the issues, we ask different questions, right? So, and we can do this with all the case types, including code enforcement cases and stuff like that. And we do it in the permit and license applications too. So, here I'm going to say this is a restaurant or bar, and you can see that a form comes up with the different types of issues you might have with a restaurant or bar. And so we'll name Jim's Bar. And then I can go in here and pick the kind of different categories I wanted to. And these are all custom fields, really super duper flexible as rats. And I can put this in. And then this one's got a custom, it's a custom field for us. It's just a document submittal button. And I can go in here and pick, if I want it, if I'm on a smartphone, I can just take a picture, right? And it'll just go right into the case. So I'll show you that later too. But that's kind of, we can make the code enforcement cases like this, the request tracking cases like this in the system. So, but let's do a code case. So what happens when they get submitted on the portal is there's a matrix of notifications, right? So if I jump over to another browser here, and I'll show you what, I think I can get into the portal here for code enforcement. I can't. Well, take a look at that. So there's a matrix for notifications on the portal. It's really important when you do the portal, when you do request tracking and stuff like that, that you have a way to kind of say, for this file type or this case type or for this permit type, this is who we want to tell about that. And so that's in the portal configuration. And if I go over here to say permitting options, I can go down here and list my user notifications and assignments. And so for all my permit applications, I'm going to, I can say if I get a new one, I'm going to tell somebody about it. If I get a modification, a payment, or inspection request. So you can route these different things that happen on the portal to different people. And we also support doing like a unassigned activity queue, and you can see your departmental, things that we can set it up, your rights, people's rights, so you can see the assignments within your department. So if somebody's on vacation and stuff like that, you can see that. So let's do, I'm going to do a case on the staff side. So the cases can come in a variety of different ways. To do one on the staff side, we'll kind of jump through a case here. You just go up here to create. Now, these different things can be enabled or disabled based on the users. And one of the things that's really important about Citizen Serve is that everything's really set up based on, the organization level, department level, or sub-departments. So for all these file types, a department like the engineering department can own their permit types, their license types, their case types, or you can inherit those from a higher level, so that really makes us, the situation, the software powerful, especially for larger jurisdictions where, the building department has separate permits and licenses from the health department, right? And you want to keep those separate, and you want the departments to be able to manage their own permits and configure their own permits and control who can see them and who can modify them and all that sort of stuff. So, and that sort of comes up here in the, here we've got a organization here with different departments, and if I go to building, I don't have any rights in building, but I have rights in code enforcement, and here I can see some stuff, but not everything, and I can configure, I can't see any user stuff, but I can kind of, I've got access to the roles, everything's set up kind of read-only, building, modify building, those types of things. So let's do a case. I'm going to do a code case. So general cases are kind of, the citizens are asking you to do something. So it's a very robust request tracking case management system. You can set up your own file types, collect information based on the case type. The forms can be dynamic, as we kind of looked at on the portal. These are generally where citizens are asking you to do something, or you're trying to, you're making a request, say, of another department, like an internal request. The code enforcement cases are really where you're trying to get something into compliance. So property maintenance, environmental, and maybe health. You can have different types of cases. Different departments can own different types of cases and different types of enforcement. We do everything from cases where buildings have to be torn down to just like parking tickets. So we can do a lot of different stuff in enforcement, and that's really where you're trying to get something into compliance based on ordinances and laws. Permits and licenses are basically, we can do any kind of permit, any kind of license, and there's usually an application for the license, and then there's and the licenses are made up, and the permits are made up of custom fields. So we can do any kind of application, and we can get any kind of submittal documents, plan documents. I know some of our customers that do health licensing. If it's a restaurant, they got to upload the specifications for all their refrigerators and stoves and the menu for the restaurant and all that sort of stuff. And then usually there's a review process, so a workflow process to review and approve the application that might involve multiple departments. And then, you issue the permit or license, and maybe sometimes there's inspections. We can also do enforcement related to the inspections and related to the licenses and permits. So sometimes you have a license for a business, and when you do an inspection, they might be in violation of some ordinance or law. You want to keep those enforcement stuff with that, and so we can do that. And then the permitting and licensing is very similar in Citizen Serve. Licenses get renewed, so usually there's some sort of a renewal process based on the license type that has to be set up and managed. And then permit projects, there's a closeout project. What do we do to close out our project and issue like a certificate of occupancy and close it out? So I'm going to do an enforcement case here, and say that somebody just called and they, instead of submitting the request online, if they did submit a request online, I get a notification about the request, and the information would already be in the case. So I'll just say that this is weeds and an abandoned vehicle. And we're going to add, I'm going to add a complaint in here. So this is who I'm talking to on the phone. We're going to always search for this. If they want to be anonymous, we can do that too. You don't have to put a contact in here. And so I'm going to put in Granny Smith here. We want you to search for properties and people, because we do a lot of connecting people to cases and permits, and businesses to cases and permits. And also you want to be able to go to a property and see everything that's going on with that property. So, we always want you to look it up first. So here's some file types, and I'm going to do a code enforcement file type. Some of our customers might set up different file types in enforcement for, property maintenance might be one, another one might be health, depending on which department and what they're doing. So I'll put in an address. I'm just going to put in some information because I just want to look it up. So here's the address we're looking for. We put in the Google Street View thumbnail of the address. You can always change that when you pull it into your case. And whenever we select addresses, we're going to show you, pull the information into the file, and that's customizable too. So, based on the file type, we can say we only want these 10 property elements with this file. And we're going to, we look it up out of the property lookup, and we preserve it with the file. So like if you look up an old code enforcement case, you'll be able to see who owned the property when that case was active. And we also have some other features. When you look up a file, I can see alerts on the properties. That's that little red exclamation mark. So I can see, anything that somebody wants to point out that's important about a property or a file, I can do that. And we can do alerts on permits, licenses, people, businesses, really all the aspects in the system. So, and we're always going to show you that icon if there's any alerts. We can look at other files. So these are other files that are associated with this property. So if there were permits or licenses or requests, cases, I would see everything that's in here. And I can drill down on any of these kind of blue, link areas to those file numbers if I want to. And then I can pull up the map features. And, here's my case location on a map. And I can also pull in different layers if I want to. We can support doing any types of layers. You can also pull in, some sort of secondary or other layers, say like if I wanted to see all the water hydrants around this area, I can do that. So, and you're able to click on the layers and see the tabular information that's behind that object. You can also click on the pins on a map. Whenever you're looking at a map report, you can click on the pins and drill down on the information that's in there. And in this particular view, we've got to show open files, which is kind of helpful. You want to see everything that's going on in the area. Throughout the system, mapping's going to allow you to go into, use all the Google features, so if I wanted to go into satellite view, I can. I can also go into street view and pan around. So it's, and this is, this is available too for reports. If you're in a map report, you can use all these features. You can also move the pin. So if if the person who called, they said it's the blue house at the end of the street, and they gave them your address, or they gave you their address, then you can just grab the pin here and move it. So you can actually pick the problem location off of a map if you want to. So it's changed the address up here for me. So, so all we really have done so far is just enter the description. I'm kind of long-winded about it, but you can do this very quickly when you've got someone on the phone. You can set up all the drop-down list boxes or customizable. So here's a category, and we'll say that we got this on the phone. So sometimes the management, or you want to have information about how are we getting our cases or complaints and stuff like that, and you can put that in there. And we're going to always, with the code case and also with request tracking, we queue up an activity. And there's usually a default activity. For this case type, it's code enforcement inspection. I can change this to another department if I want. I can also change the follow-up activity. So if it's not just a standard inspection, maybe it's an animal control issue, I can pick that. I could change my inspectors. This would be a list of my inspectors here. I'll put in a start date. Start date is when it starts showing up on someone's task list. And due date is when it becomes, overdue. So, and we do really two different types of activities in CitizenServe. They're either, hey, this is a task, like a to-do item, or it's like a plan review or something like that. or it's an event, a calendar event. You got to show up somewhere at a certain place and time, like a building inspection, right? So so this is just a to-do. I'm supposed to go check out this property to see if there's anything wrong with it. So so I saved it, and this is kind of what it looks, the case looks like, and everything looks very similar in CitizenServe. We haven't acquired any software, so it's everything, has kind of been designed the same way. You've got sort of an area over here where you can do things where you can add alerts, categories, add documents, send emails. We do fees with code enforcement cases or enforcement, and so there's kind of that list down here, and we can see who's involved under contacts. So these are people, maybe they're the people that are involved in a project or a business license, and this is just our complainant so far, and we show the association right here. And same as when we're looking at the property, I can see alerts on granting. So if it's something important about a person or a business or a contractor, I can put an alert on that. We also do notes, so notes are available in the system too, but we don't want people to look through the notes to find something that's important. So that's why we have alerts. So activities, this is going to show everything that's going on. If there's lots of activity types in CitizenServe, like, online document got uploaded or online application, those types of things. And this is an inspection, and then I can see documents, violations, and fees. So let's say we were going out to this particular property, and we show you, this is the task area here on the home page, and you can drill down on the tasks, and you can see more details about them. We can use the back button. We're in a browser, so we can do that. We can also click on the CitizenServe logo, so he's going to take you back to your home page. There's a quick find up here on the home page, and you can customize it. A lot of things are customizable based on your job function or, what department you work in. So, and we also do, here are some custom fields. We've got a tag number, license number. These are custom fields. It might be on a case type. Sometimes it's the ticket number that, people pull off of the citation that they write or something like that. So you can mark custom fields throughout the application as searchable, and they'll show up on your different screens. So you can customize the home page too. So here I can, take things off of my home page, and I can also rearrange the order. And the mapping features are kind of built in throughout. So if I want to see all my tasks on a map, I can go in and use all the same features and stuff like that with just kind of some different functionality. Here I can display different appointments, tasks, and when they're due, only my overdue stuff, those types of things. And you can kind of slice and dice your tasks here. Appointments show up under my calendar. This is a browser and device independent calendar. It's kind of neat because you can drill down on your inspections and your activities right from the calendar. We can send you a meeting invite to your Outlook or Google Calendar that'll put your inspections on your regular work calendar. It's kind of like a calendar integration feature. And these are the metrics. We were kind of looking at these with one of our customers, but you can drill down on these. They're customizable. You can, anytime you want, you can say, hey, I want this new metric. We treat it like it's a report. We do unlimited custom reports for our customers. It's just what we do, and I can show you later if you want to see. We have an end user reporting tool built into the system. You can create your own map reports, your own chart reports, and it's all, you don't have to know anything about the underlying database to do it. You just have to know what information you're looking for. So it's not a reporting tool that's made for developers. It's a reporting tool that's made for somebody that's working with permits, licensing, and code enforcement cases. So so you can easily add these and remove them from your home page. And anytime you want, if you want something cool, that we'll just add it for you. So here's my recent files, and you can kind of minimize and maximize these items here, and then you can pin reports that you run or processes that you run to your home page down here in links, right? So here I've got like an annual weedy lot notice, which is kind of a merge report to probably one of our customers in California. They send this out during fire season. Let people know they got to clean up their property. So here's a just an example batch letter. And so you can pin whatever you want to your homepage. So we did a case, and let's say we went out to take a look at it, and I got a whole bunch of stuff here on my list of things to do, and here's my inspection. It's this one way at the bottom. I don't complete any of my activities when I do the demo, so that's why my list is so long. But here's my inspection. I can click on the file, and that takes me right to the file number, or I can click on the activity. It kind of takes an extra step, and it takes me to the activities page, so I can just complete my inspection there. So what I typically would do is I'm out at the property, I've got my iPad, and I'm going to start adding some violations. So I clicked on violations here, and there's a couple things. This is like a wizard that's kind of set up for, I'm walking around the property, I want to take pictures and add violations as I'm walking around. We added this, I think it was Urbana, Illinois, just the way we set up their rental inspections. We added kind of a cooler, you can switch to a multiple entry mode, which sort of allows you to sort of go down and click the violations and then add your comments. So it's easier when you're doing something like a rental inspection. You're walking around the kitchen, you can kind of have things sorted in a particular order. We can also do forms with the activities. Some of our rental inspection folks do a kind of a complex form made up of custom fields. So let me go back to this violation thing here, and I'll switch back to single entry. And so you can add the code. You can have different sections like property maintenance and health and stuff like that. You can pick from the short description. And let's put in homeowner grass here. And we'll say I'm going to take some pictures. I'm going to click on add documents. And we'll look at the iPad a little later, but basically you can take pictures right from the camera. And you can also select multiple pictures when you're, I just selected 2 pictures. Back in the day, you couldn't do that with the browser features, but you can now. So now these pictures are going to be associated with this violation, and I can go ahead. Hey, I'm going to save and add another. I'm still walking around the property, and I'll put in a vehicle violation here, and I'll put in some comments. Needs to move car to rear, and so we'll put in a picture of a car here, and we'll click on that, and then we'll say it's a photo. Now you're not going to see all these different document types. You can kind of have, the department can have a limited number. Just our demo environment is a little weird sometimes. And so so I've added 2 violations and 3 pictures. So I'm just going to click on save, and my pictures are going to show up here in documents, and I can view thumbnails if I want to. The markup tool that we're going to look at later works in the picture, so if I want to mark up a picture, I can. I'm going to show you that with a plan document. And I can see my violations here. So, here's my violations. And if I want to go close one of these, I can, jump in here and close it, pick a disposition. You can basically, manage all the violations differently. You can go out and close some and open new ones if you want. That happens frequently. They can all have different follow-up dates, and sometimes we do priorities, so there might be an imminent public safety issue that needs to be followed up, within 24 hours, and there might be some other issues that aren't imminent, and we can have different follow-up dates for those. Pictures are always going to show up here that were associated with that violation. And so I took pictures, I noted my violations. I want to hand my homeowner a notice of violation. So I'm going to click on letter over here, and we're always going to show you everybody that's involved in the case when you generate the template documents, right? And if you're doing an email, it's kind of the same thing. It's just everybody that's involved in the project will kind of, just makes it easier to send out information. So here we've got a bunch of different notices, citation notices, lien notices, public hearing notices. I'm going to pick my violation letter. And one of the features in CitizenServe is that you can sort of put a tag in to your templates, whether they're email or letters or merge letters, and you can say, hey, I want to include pictures or other things from the file. So I'm going to put my pictures in my letter here, and I can do certified mail. I can collect, we can collect information at the time you do a citation or a violation notice. This is certified mail number, but it could be a driver's license number, in case maybe in the event of like a citation or something. And then I'll click on generate letter. So this is the letter, kind of incorporate all your comments, the full text of the ordinance. You could get to this full text. There's a little ... by the violation. You can get to that. We can do dynamic signatures in the system. We can also collect, it's a custom field. We can collect signatures in the field, like inspection report. We can collect the signature from the person in charge at the location and put that on the inspection report. This is a dynamic signature, so we're putting the user's signature here that generated the letter. And here's my citation. I can go to print preview if I want. This just shows you what it'll look like on a piece of paper. And so that's that. I can edit these documents. We use the same HTML browser and device independent HTML editor throughout the system. So, and I'll click on save, and so that saves my letter. Everything that gets generated gets saved here in documents, and you can, sort of pick what you want to look at. Sometimes these get, there's a lot of information, sometimes with projects and licenses and stuff like that. So I handed the homeowner the notice of violation. I'm going to jump over here and throw in that I got this done. This is going to take it off my task list. And I'll say that I took pictures, noted violations, and handed homeowner notice of violation. So this is going to close it out for me, and then I can pick that I want to do an add follow-up. And you can see the menu over here too. So it's, if you don't know what the icons mean, you can go over here and just add a follow-up. And so I'm going to say my follow-up activity here is going to be a reinspection. And I'll just put a date on here and go ahead and save that. And this little camera here is just another, there's lots of different places you can add photos. And this is just one where you can take a photo just right from your camera and put it in the system. So that's a little bit on the doing a code case. Now, if I go back out there again on my reinspection, right, I'm probably going to escalate stuff, and I'll probably just go in here and generate a citation notice. Now we can do processing with all the letters and notices and stuff like that. So that makes it CitizenServe really powerful. And what it is basically is just a little SQL script that we add to what we call a query letter. It allows us to assess fines, update the file. Like in a building inspection, maybe we do an electrical building inspection and it passes, and we're going to send an email to the electric company to turn on the electric at that property. So we can, those are the types of things we can do with that. In this example, when I do my citation, and I'll skip over the adding the pictures, it's going to basically tally up the daily fines for me and put those in the file, right? So, we have just enormous amount of flexibility with those letter types. And what it looks like, if you're like the admin, I go to enforcement here, and I've got rights to lookups and enforcement, but I don't have rights to anything like in building, right? So I just have rights to code here. And if I want to go take a look at that violation notice we did, I just go to File Lookups here, Forms and Letters, right? And here's my violation letter. So I don't have rights to some of these. They're owned by the root organization, but I do have rights to the code enforcement templates. So I'll click on that, and this is the, I'm in an HTML editor, and I can edit the code if I want to. So we can get really fancy. We do ID cards, placards, all sorts of crazy stuff. And we can make, if you have to, if a ticket or citation has to look a specific way for the local court system, we can make it look exactly how you want it to look. So this is my, go ahead.
So say we've got some of these set up already in Word documents. I mean, if we do a transition, we just give you guys the Word documents and you guys can go into the HTML editor.
Yeah, we usually set it, we set everything up for you. And that's,
Okay.
As part of the implementation process. That usually works best because our guys are in the system every day, but it's very easy to do these. Like if I wanted to add the legal description right below the parcel number here, I can just go in and select the type of information I want. So I can do custom fields, like if there are custom fields in this case, when it's created that I want to include. I got general formatting types of fields. I'm going to click property and we'll say legal description, and I just click paste. That's it. That's putting data on the template. And there's some other ones. I showed you the signature. That's this tag here, user signature. So that's just basically telling the system if the user profile has their signature, put their signature here. So, and this is the tag down here for, adding documents, right? So this is the thing that says, hey, when I generate this, ask if I want to put the pictures in here too. So that's sort of a we don't like writing code, so we try to make everything super duper configurable. And the letter types, over here I've got different email permits, and you can associate your letter types with different things. Like I don't want to see, if I'm generating a permit, I want to only see the permit template types. I don't want to see everything. So, and these are the query is basically if I go, if I say I wanted to change this to a query for a standard, what would this be? Would be probably a query activity. If I wanted to change this, it basically allows me to put in the stored procedure in SQL Server that I want to use in conjunction with this letter. So, a lot of times with code enforcement, you kind of get to a certain point and you've got to send everything off to somebody to follow up on. Maybe it's an attorney or the police department or whoever. So when I look at any of my case types or file types, even including permits and licenses, I can go down here to my reports and I can say I want to do a file report. I want to send everything to the attorney to follow up on. So, I'll just select all, but you can go in here and pick these items individually. But it's basically showing all my activities, all my letters, all my pictures that I took, everything, right? So, this becomes something that you can print to a PDF or print out on paper and forward the entire file really to somebody external to work on. So that's sort of that's kind of code enforcement. So we can do really complex case types and enforcement, and and all the reporting and stuff that goes along with that. I don't know if we got any reports in this example. We've got open files on a map. This might be something that you might put on your portal. We can put any reports we do for you. You can put on a map. Somebody's messed with my with my test thing here. We've been taken to the general map. So, but so that's a code case. Is there any questions about that or?
All the screens you've been showing in the past 20 minutes, they're all scalable. The the responsive design, all scaled to an iPad or an iPhone?
Yeah, so we're gonna, this will work great on, most of our customers use tablets, so, it's set up. And in fact, if we go, let me go over to my tablet here. Yeah, and, I've got a document camera here by my desk, and basically it allows me to jump in here, and I'll log in as the code user we were logged in as, because I want to show you what the controls and stuff look like. So this is Citizen Serve on the iPad, and it looks at, there's things, sometimes things are a little bit different. You can, it's fully functional, right? So, anything we were doing before, we can do here. We can pull in our layers, we can click on the layers and see the information behind the layers, all that sort of stuff. The controls might look a little different. Like if I go back to the case we were working on, and so when I was in here and I added some violations, right? You can kind of see the drop-down list box might look a little different, right? You can see this is kind of the finger-friendly version of the drop-down list box, and so I can jump in here and pick my weeds violation if I want. The other thing that is cool about this is when I go add documents, I don't really have anything to take a picture of here, but you can take a picture right from your camera. You can pick something from the photo library, and in this case, we have an iCloud drive too. So if I click on the camera, this pulls up my camera. I don't want to take a picture of anything, but I could do a video if I wanted to, or just take a picture, and I just click Use Photo right here. That's going to put the photo in the file, right? So, that's, and I think I can use the, if I want to use the microphone here, I can do that. This is an example of using speech to text on the iPad. So all the text fields and comment fields and stuff like that, you can use that feature as opposed to typing. So, so that's kind of a little bit on the iPad. So we don't have, we used to have to fumble around with your camera and your notebook computer and all that kind of stuff. And this is the blank picture I took just a minute ago. But that's kind of a little bit about what the iPad looks like. So do you want to look at licensing next, or I could also do a permit, which might make sense. You want to do a building permit real quick? And
yeah, let's go ahead and do that, Jim. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to do and I'll skip over a little bit of stuff because I've kind of covered a lot of information there. So let's do it online because we didn't really do the code case with the workflow. So here we are back at the portal, and I mentioned reports. These are reports that we've exposed to the public. So the public can run, any reports you put out on the website. They can anonymously look, like expired permits, or issued permits probably is a really common one. We can do kind of neat features like if I want to look up zoning on a property, and these can be links anywhere on the homepage. So I've got that same property lookup down here under permitting. So if you want to provide a feature anywhere in the homepage or the portal, you can do that. A lot of times reports, we say reports, but it could, a lot of times reporting is just like a custom process that you need to run. So I'm going to go to services here, and I'm going to go to permits, and we can put your submittal requirements up there and stuff like that. So and these pages are very easy to edit. We use the same HTML editor that we looked at. So we'll go to permits, and I'm going to do apply online. Again, it's going to ask me to log in. I'm going to And so here's my permit types. This is going to be a list of your permit types, and you can select which permit types and license types you want to have on the portal. You don't have to have them all. You can select which ones you want to put on there. And I'll say building permit, and we'll say new construction here. We're going to show you the submittal requirements again, when you actually pick what you're doing. And I'll say this is a new home construction. And this is you can add things to an existing project or an existing business license. So if I had a restaurant, I'm applying for an alcohol license, I would associate it with my existing license. And we can do permits and licenses. There's kind of really 3 different sort of property configurations with them. No address, like a solicitor business license or something like that. A verified address, which means we want a good parcel number, we want the owner information, or you can freeform it. Say somebody's doing a planning or development project and the address hasn't really been determined yet. This is dynamic, just like the form we looked at in request tracking. So this is my application form. All the text fields, these are just HTML custom fields. We can do links to other systems, G.I.S. systems, state contractor systems, whatever, right? We embed this right in the application. So that's kind of a cool way. If they have to go to a certain website to check something out, we can embed that HTML. This is dynamic, so I can say 1 or 2, and if I say 1, it doesn't ask me for 2, right? And that's really cool because, sometimes you're like, you ask a question, yes or no, in an application. And if they say no, you don't want to ask any more questions. But if you say yes, like, do you serve tobacco at your establishment? We're going to ask 10 more questions. And we don't want to clutter it up for the simple applications. And so I'll throw in some information here. These are all custom fields. And the custom fields, I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but all the fields you can use in the fee table. Right, so without writing any code, if I want to use square footage here, is one of my ways to calculate the fees in the fee table. You can use any of the custom fields in the fee table. This one's got integrated trades, kind of integrated contractor licensing. So, it's basically going to only show me active contractor licenses in the system. So. And we can do help with all the custom fields. That's just something you set up when you do the custom field. And the submittal documents can be, anything, anywhere in the application. So we put them here in a section. They can also be a button where you can upload as many things as you want. Sometimes with like a planning application, you want to give them the ability to upload, 1 or 20 types of documents. If you want to get really specific, like upload a copy of your driver's license here, you can get specific. So I've got a site plan. I've got a kind of an application sort of a thing. Do elevations and I'll do landscape plans. So these are all going to be in the system. Ray might have mentioned earlier, we don't charge anything for storage. It's just part of the subscription. And here's a signature custom field. This can be on an inspection report or an inspection form. Really, we can put these anywhere. It's just another custom field in the system, and it just sort of gives you the ability to, if somebody might sign your tablet. And all these can be saved for later. This red text here is a custom field that only shows up on the portal. So when we go to the staff side, we won't see that. So you can kind of customize the behavior of all the fields in the system. So we're sending a template out. Sometimes this might be, I know, like for a really simple permit, we might just email you the permit after you pay for it in one of the templates, right? And then we're going here to get application fees. Because this permit type says, hey, we want the plan check fees up front, and then we'll collect the rest later when we issue the permit. And so this is where we would, be in the payment processors thing, and a lot of our customers also do online checks because, if it's a $20,000 or $30,000 building permit, sometimes people don't want to pay for that with a credit card. So let's log out, and we're gonna, actually I should have, I want to show you what a permit looks like on the portal. So as we're going through the process on the staff side, keep in mind that your constituents, the contractors and stuff, can see kind of what's going on. So this is a permit. It's just like the one we just did, but different. And I can request inspections, and these are all going to kind of go through that notification matrix that we looked at. So
all these transactions for lift rides.
Okay. Was there a question out there?
We're just catching some feedback from Ray's.
What about Barrio Cafe?
All right. Yeah. Get rid of Ray. So all right. So anyway, so the this is the application, and we can set these up so that you can edit. There's certain statuses that the permit or license can be in, where you might edit. Like in a renewal for a license, we might allow people to update their information on the license. And then the review process, we can see that. So we can see which departments hasn't looked at it yet, who's looked at it, and what their comments are, right? So, here's my review comments in the system. So that's sort of a handy. And also documents. So my permits, everything we want to see here, we're going to see inspection reports, permit cards, the original submittal documents are down here, and we've got some markup on this one here. So if I click on view comments, that'll take me into the markup tool, and you can see the markup comments on that. And then you can, they're read-only comments, but we'll take a look at that too. The inspections show up, so if I got scheduled inspections or past inspections, I can see the comments too, inspection comments. So that's what they can see. So as we're going through the staff side, that's kind of what you'll be able to see there, or that the citizens can see. So I'm going to log in here as the person who actually receives the online permit applications. And there's a unassigned activity queue here too. So sometimes a department might say, for all these types of issues, file types, cases, or permit or license types, throw them in the unassigned activity queue, and somebody will go in there and make assignments. And there's two views for this. You can kind of go into the map view and make assignments. And you can look at your layers and stuff here too if you want. There's also a list view, which allows you to see all the stuff on a map. And if you just want to pick these up for yourself, you can just say assign to me or pick somebody else if you want. So, so way down at my task list, I've got my permit that came in. It's way down here at the bottom. This online permit application activity. I can see alerts again, on that address, and really any alerts in the file would show up here. So let me click on the permit. This is the one we just did online. It looks very similar to a code case, different information though. We've got our calculation for evaluation here using the ICC tables. We kind of show you the math behind that. We've got our information. This is the same application. These are the same custom fields you're looking at. They just behave differently. And we've got some, like a little staff section down here in this example. These are just custom fields that only show up on the staff side. Probably if you look at a paper application, sometimes at the bottom it says staff use only. That's kind of what this example is. And I can pick, hey, I want to use the estimated construction cost or the valuation. It just allows me to sort of allow the staff to customize the fees or make changes that we don't want to show the citizens. we've got our permit fees down here, and we can, recalculate fees if we change something. We can also add manual fees if we want. Let's take a payment. I'm going to go in here and take a check, and we're going to show you, this is a contact listing. Basically it means that we're going to show you everybody involved in the project, the property owner, the contractors, the applicant, and I'll say the applicant gave us a check. So 5234.28. If this was paid online, you would see in the payments, you would see the payment, and you would also see the, I believe it's in the reference here, you would see the confirmation number from the payment provider. So we took a payment, and let's look at the review. So this is an automated workflow review process, and you can have one or more of these. You can have special reviews. We support doing resubmittals and all the special reviews types of stuff in the system. So in this example, the building department is going to do an application intake and make sure it's complete. And then in parallel, we send it off to these departments to look at. And then once everybody's done with it, we kind of come back to building to pick the required inspections, and then once it's done, we issue the permit, right? So let's jump in. Your documents show up on the application, but they also show up here under the Documents tab. So we can click on these and open them up, and kind of zoomed in here, but that's one of the documents. And here's all the people involved under contacts. Again, we can see alerts and other files they're involved in, and a complete history. So we got everything that's going on here, and plus we can track changes to custom fields like square footage if you want, stuff like that. So let's do a step here in the review process. I'm going to do Morgan Katz's step. We'll log in as her. And the reviews can be forms, the inspections can have forms and templates to print out inspection reports and stuff like that. But in this example, we're using, kind of a common comments, common corrections capability in the system. So if I go down here, and I look at all of her tasks, down here, this permit ending in 60 is the one we're working on. And if I click on the activity, that takes me to the activity. And, here I can see, the review comments. And we can combine, you can have custom fields on the form and the review comments at the same time. So I'll go in and pick some of these. We're going to always show you the category up here in the upper left that matches the activity, right? You can also pick another one if you want. So, if I wanted to pick some other types of comments, each department can manage their own common comments and corrections and inspection comments and categories and stuff like that. So, and you can also inherit those from a higher level. I'm going to pull these into my review, and I can add additional comments if I want. I can also add new line items. If I wanted to put one in, you can kind of pick the order.
Hey guys, this is Ray. I dropped off for a moment, but I'm back on.
Okay. And then you can also have a status here if you want. This is optional, but you can, if you want to have the ability to kind of go in and mark things as completed or corrected or those types of things, you can. So I'll go ahead and save these. And so typically what we're going to do here is I'm going to complete my activity. This is going to kind of move things off to the next folks, but I'm going to send an email out to my applicant, and these are all custom templates. They're easy to create. In this example, we send out informal application review comments along the way, and then in the end, we have like a roll-up of all the comments for the whole thing, for the whole review. So I'm just going to do a informal, and just like when we did the letter, you'll see here that we're going to show everybody involved, external parties, the trades, the applicant, and my entire review team. So the internal people here, I put them in there. And so I'll just say, send this to my applicant. I can add attachments if I want, maybe a marked up document, or I can add a picture, or something from my desktop if I want to. we'll skip over that and we'll preview this. And so here's my review template that I'm sending out with my comments. And we'll just go ahead and send that out. So that's sort of completing a step in the review where we're just adding comments. So let's do a, so here, kind of this is where things are at. And so now it's been assigned. This has been assigned now to the different departments. And we'll jump over. I'm going to do one more review step, but I'm going to go into the markup tool. And we'll just do it. We'll add our comments while we're looking at the documents. And this is available throughout the system. So code enforcement people can use it. Licensing people can use it. And you can use it on a tablet too. It's a browser and device independent markup tool. So after Morgan completed her task, I've got my task here. This application review on this permit ending in 60 and required inspections. Sometimes our customers, as part of the review process, they'll pick the required inspections for that project. And I'm going to click on application review. And we'll go into the markup tool. So here's the markup tool, this little icon up here. And I'm going to go into my landscape plan. And this basically allows me to, pull up documents. I can go in and kind of look at the documents and add my comments from the comment book while I'm doing it. So if I go in here, I can look at my drawings. Now we can do, you can create your own stamps in the system. So this is, and you can share your stamp with your department or not. You can add images. I think that sometimes people put the city logo on the approved documents and stuff like that. You can share this. If I wanted all departments to be able to use the stamp, I can do that. You can kind of change the color, formatting, and stuff like that if you want. But let's drag a stamp over here. So I've got an approved stamp. Now, all the objects support the comment book, right? So whether it's a stamp or a markup, I'm going to see the comment book there. So I can click on that and go and pick a category, add some comments, and save those. And so those are going to be saved, so I can go back in here if I want and, mark them as completed or whatever while I'm looking at the drawing. And there's a little lightning bolt feature up here, which allows me to import markups from a previous document. So if I get a revision, I can just pull in all my old comments and my old markups and go in there and see what's what. We can do text highlighting. You can calibrate this and do some measurements, and on your measurements, the comment book will show up. Let's do an arrow. We got some other objects here. If I want to point at something, I can do that. There's some other features in here, and I'll add some comments to this one here. So, and the comments, we support doing HTML within the comments. So if you wanted to make a comment, red and bold, you can do that. We can do links to like a code book or something that is a reference that they're supposed to look at. We can do that kind of stuff too. We'll go ahead and save this. And so those are, the comments, we kind of can go through here. And you can see, other reviewers, when you're looking at other reviewers' comments, like another department, like maybe the engineering department marked up the stuff, you can't change it. You can just see it. So it's kind of read-only. And let's go ahead and save this. So these markups show up on the portal. So we'll actually show the applicant, they can go in and see the markups on the drawing. So, and we also pull the comments into the review comments down here. So if you just want to look at the text comments without pulling up the drawing, you can do that. And then I'll send out an email here too. I can send out another informal review comments, and we'll just send it out to our applicant, and we can preview that if we want. And this is the review comments, and we'll send that out. And the all those documents are going to show up over here. So I've got my Morgan's review and Liam's review there too. So the so once we're done with the review, we can go over here and issue a template that's associated with the documents, and I'll say permit card and just generate this. We can do conditions here. Conditions might be that it's not paid for. There's a lot of different things we can do with conditions. So so that's something that's kind of cool, and that way, you can kind of set up like, we do conditions like on inspections. You can't schedule your final inspection until you've completed and passed your footing inspection. And we do all those with SQL scripts, so it's very customizable. So we'll go ahead and save that. And so there's my permit card. Let's do an inspection. I'm just going to go over here and add an inspection. Here we can see different departments. Kind of important when you have a lot of departments is, there's a right in CitizenServe, the ability to assign activities to the department. And so, I wouldn't be able to do this if it was, depending on how it was set up. So I'm going to pick footing. Now this is a event, like a calendar event. And so basically, I can click on the ... here, and I can see multiple calendars if I want to. I can see different categories of inspectors and stuff like that. And so basically I can see all that and schedule the appointment. So let's schedule it. And if there was anything on anybody's calendar here, I would see it, and I can drill down from the calendar here if I want to. So I've scheduled my inspection, and I'm going to save it. So this is going to show up on my calendar over here, and I can go click on my calendar. I can see the inspection. I can drill down on it from here. I can see it in a monthly view too. So if I want to see it on the monthly view, and I can click on it from here and drill down into that activity. I can pull up my calendar events on a map and all that other stuff. So let's do this on the iPad just so you can kind of see what that looks like. And so we scheduled this, and I need to log in as Liam now. And okay, so any questions so far? Or?
Tim, I just want, I guess, in terms of, we typically have projects that obviously have multiple permits associated with them. So I guess are those different cases linked in the system, or how does that work?
We can do a couple of different things with those. We can actually, let me show you that if I pull up one of these permits here, I'll pull up the one we're working on. If you want to add a permit, you can just add a permit to a project down here. And like if I needed to add an electrical to this project, I would just add it. And it would show up here under the permit list, right? So this is a list view. So you would see a list of all the permits on this particular project, and you can pick the one you want to look at or the type. Sometimes there's quite a bit of information in there. So.
Okay. Yeah. So it kind of there's a next level.
What was that again?
All right. Yeah, we're getting some feedback from somewhere.
If Ray or Jennifer, can one of you guys mute out? I think someone's driving around or something. All right, go ahead.
I'm still on mute.
Okay. I think someone's in it sounded like a car. Might have been Jennifer. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you would see a list here of the permits,
okay.
And the same thing with business licenses. Sometimes there might be a restaurant license, an alcohol license, a dumpster license. maybe a temporary food license that's associated with that business for doing a fair, or something like that. So, so we can, there's lots of different ways we can do it. But generally, and that's why when, we're doing a online permit on the citizen portal, do they want to associate it with an existing project they're working on or make a new permit? So.
Okay.
So we were going to do an inspection. So if we go over to my iPad real quick, and this is very, very similar to everything we were just doing, but I can go in here and, I'm just going to click on my footing inspection activity. I'm on my iPad here, and I can just go down here. And again, this could be a form. Sometimes we do pretty complex forms in the system, and I'm just going to click on my book. It pulls up my footing comments here for me. If I wanted to pick a different one, I could. But I'll just pick a couple of items here, and I could pull these in. Again, you can use the speech to text and click the microphone if you want in the comments, and also anywhere where there's a text field. I'll put in a date here for me and say that this passed. You're going to see the options here are going to be, kind of in the finger-friendly version of things. And then we can send out an email, if we want to send out an email to our contractor who's standing right there. It's very similar to what we've been looking at. There's a inspection report in here, and we'll click on inspection report, and we'll send it out to our applicant. So it's same as what we were looking at before. I can preview it. I can edit it here on the iPad if I want to do that, and I'll just go ahead and send this out. So that's doing an inspection, and the inspections can also have forms, which can be complicated. So so we did our inspection. If we look in here, we can see that this inspection passed, and we're back at the office. I can see my inspection report too. And once we kind of get through the inspections, we can close out the project, maybe do a certificate of occupancy. And here's kind of a certificate looking form with the building official signature on it. And I mentioned before, these are kind of easy. This is a kind of a semi-complicated document, and we can do watermarks and all sorts of stuff. But if I wanted to add like some comments to this, I could. So it's easy to make changes to even the more complex stuff. So we'll save that. So that's permitting, and licensing is very similar. So there's an application. Sometimes there's a review process. Let me. And sometimes there's inspections with licensing. I'm kind of going here to search. I'm going to find, actually he's got all those food licenses down here. So we'll go take a look at one of these that might be interesting. And this is one of the metrics for this guy here. And there's a restaurant. This is a business license. And you can kind of see the form for it. This is the form that they have, and they upload all sorts of stuff: workman's comp, insurance affidavits, food protection management certificates, all sorts of stuff with their applications. And here's a bunch of questions down here. So this is like the dynamic stuff. If I say here, yes, I serve food, it's going to ask me how many square footage, tobacco. If I say yes, it's going to ask me more questions. What's your license number? All that sort of stuff. More submittal documents down here. And then I've got my fees and my payments, and these are all online payments down here. So
Jim, does like contractor licensing work the same way?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a license type. You can have different license types for your different contractor types, or you can have subtypes, or it can just be another question on the form: what kind of contractor are you? Depending on how your fees are set up and stuff like that. this is the review. So we've got, you know, a bunch of reviews here for their licenses. And see, this one's got multiple licenses, right? So I've got a temporary food license and I have a food license. And so when you're looking at reviews, you can kind of say, I only want to look at the ones related to one license or the other. And they do, you know, this is kind of their, they do the treasury, they have like a treasury review, make sure people paid, you know, are up on their taxes and stuff before they issue the license. And they do inspections. So, you know, here's their food inspections. And if I click on the inspection, here you can see this one's got a little bit of a form, right? So here we've got the type of inspection and a form. We've got the person in charge's signature out from out in the field, and they probably got some violations. So in this license, we're tracking the violations with the license, and we also take the open violations and we'll put them on the inspection report. So if I go over here and look at one of their inspection reports, you'll see that we pulled in, I don't think this one doesn't have any, they didn't have any violations when they did this inspection, but you can see we got our person in charge's signature on the report, and we're kind of following what is probably a state mandated food inspection form. You know, this was set up in, you know, this is in Citizen Serve. This gets generated by Citizen Serve when they do their inspection. So, so that's sort of in licensing. There's, you know, the other kind of critical part of licensing is the renewal process. You know, so, you know, for the each license type, you know, we set up the kind of the processes to send out the renewal notices. Sometimes there's, you know, first notice, second notice, third notice, and then final notice, and late fees and stuff associated with the different time periods and the notices.
Yeah, and Jim, is there a way, like, for instance, contractors, a lot of times their insurance that we require them to carry will expire, you know, mid-year.
Yep.
Either the system to ping us to say, hey, this guy's no longer registered, or automatically turn off the registration, or even, hey, send an email to that contractor to say automatically that says, hey, you need to update your insurance.
Yeah, we can do that. Let me see if I can find a. I'll look at. Oops, we got a dumpster service company. So this is kind of this is their list of contact types, right? So there's, you know, there's quite a few. And if I go to try electricians that start with A, there's got to be one in there. And so here's my electrician.
Do you check with this? Do you guys check with the state or anything for the licensing process, or confirm anything from outside for your contractor licenses?
We we right now rely on the contractor to submit their state license information as well as insurance cards, but I know that's something we've talked about with the other first suburbs communities. If, you know, if we could pull that data from OCLIB, you know, that would be great to just kind of automatically have that, you know, loaded.
And that's I mean, that would be something that we could do for the whole community. We wouldn't charge anyone. This, you know, we have common integrations like that. We could look into it. Not saying that it can be done, but those are the types of things that there's an integration like that everybody will use, that will include.
Oh, sure, right.
So they've got, you know, on this particular contact type, and when you're looking at a contact, right, you can see all their files, right? This is all my permits and stuff, and I can see all my permits that are associated with that contractor, all their licenses, so if they had a license in the system, and then all the documents associated with them. You know, so here's an insurance document that's part of the contact type. And then this one, I think it's got a lookup. This is just a custom field. It's HTML down here. And if I click on it, it probably takes me to the state system. So I think we're working with Massachusetts now because they're doing a web service. But I don't know why their system's not coming up. But anyways. So yeah, so the contact type's very customizable, but if you do contractor licensing, we would want to do that in our licensing module, right? Because you want to send out renewal notices, and maybe there's fees associated with the contractor license, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so we would set those up as business licenses, and then you can like I showed you in the example, you can integrate the different trades, and we can show you, we can on the portal we can say only show active contractors. On the staff side, I think a lot of times we'll show active and inactive trade matches. So
yeah. And then Jim, that leads me to just one other thing. I guess just about reporting in general. For instance, I know right now it sounds like we can query the system pretty easily to kind of show us data we want.
Yep.
We also are responsible for issuing periodic reports to. Oh geez, who am I thinking?
Yeah, they have that. Like sometimes the state, you got to report all this type of permit fees to the state or these types of things, and pretty much, especially in the Northeast, we do a lot of that where every month or every day, we have to send an automated email off to the state system to report on activities, right, or different types of issues. Yeah. We can do that.
Is that the kind of thing you're talking about, or something else?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the other thing is we get a lot of recurring records requests, oh geez, I'm blanking right now. A builder's exchange. They're like, hey, send us any permits that have been issued in the last month. And we get that request every month. So our current system, we were able to set up to say, hey, on the first of the month, send these email addresses, all the permits, a list of all the permits that have been issued. Not necessarily the permits themselves, but just a spreadsheet that shows what's been issued where.
Yeah, we can do that. All the tabular reports in CitizenServe can be exported, so you can set it up either just on the portal, where they can go and do their own query, right? Or we can set up a process where we send it out. Okay. And those are we consider those to be reports. So it's if you want us to write a custom report for a process, that's just included. We started out doing that like 14 years ago, and I think from developing systems in the 90s, custom systems, whenever we did a system, there'd be like this pile-on of all the reports that anybody would ever want, and because when we were done with the project, we'd move on. But really, we work for renewals, so we want to, if there's a report that would be really helpful or a process that would be really helpful, we're gonna develop it for you so that you renew your subscription. So, and we've been doing it for 14 years, and nobody's really, abused it. Just the unlimited support that we provide, and we do have some users that abuse it a little bit, but we don't care, So. So the reporting. Do you want to see a report like the reporting wizard, real quick, or?
No, I think we'll probably get into that,
okay.
Later with more detailed stuff. I guess my other kind of big question, our current system, we initially brought it into building and planning to kind of manage those cases, but we've been able to adapt it for our public works folks for dye testing, some sewer stuff. I sent Ray a big list of what our current cases are. I guess I'm curious about how CitizenServe could adapt to those, or how that might work. And I'll just take the dye test as an example. So homeowner will come in for a building permit. Let's say waterproof a basement foundation. We have some fine systems here in Lakewood. We want a sewer crew to go out to the house, check what kind of sewer configuration the house has, and then report that back before we issue a permit. Would CitizenServe manage that as a separate case type, or how would that happen?
Well, it could be an activity too, right? So the activities are all customizable with forms and stuff like that. They could, it could be. It really kind of depends. Usually, there's a half a dozen different ways to do something in CitizenServe, and that's kind of what our implementation team does. Is, okay, do you want to make this a a different file type? Do you want to make it another permit type, or do you want to make it, and it kind of depends on how the process works.
How does that process get initiated? What kicks it off? Is it a homeowner request, or somebody else kicks it off for the homeowner?
Yeah, no, typically, and I could see where it would fit into the activities category in terms of like a review, because what will happen is somebody will come in with a project, they bring it to the front counter, we look at it and be like, is you're touching the house sewer system, and we look in our system, there's no current dye test, we need to send a crew out to test the sewer configuration. So yeah, that's how it gets what am I trying to say? Started, from our permit counter.
Okay, yeah, that could be, it could be an activity, it could be a checkbox, or maybe they have to upload their last inspection, or on the permit application when they start their project. But we can, and then we can also check, like if you're going to issue a building permit and a dye test hasn't been completed, we can do that like in a condition, right? So that, we can warn people or make a mandatory stop if they try to do something that they shouldn't be doing. So.
And then also too, like if the police department issues parking permits to allow people to park on the street, or like if the refuse division has violation fees, can all that be housed in citizen serve?
We've done parking permits. Some jurisdictions, actually, they do parking permits and enforcement for certain areas of the city or whatever sometimes. So we can do that. We can also do tickets, and we can also. I know in some cases we've set up where they still use the paper ticket, but we grab the ticket number, and I think that. Like in this implementation here, we did, and these are all the reports that this user has in the system, and they do like rat baiting. It's like a file type for them, but they have like here's their tickets. And
While you're looking at that, Jim, I was just going to say we can also do like QRC codes, like if there's a parking sticker or a liquor license, you can put the code on it, someone can scan it and go directly to that license and check out, the dates and that kind of thing. It's kind of cool.
So this is a report we set up for this user, but it's sort of when they go to a hearing, they basically can just, see everything that's on the docket for the day under hearing, and then they can drill down on the files and see the ticket, pick the hearing decision right here is what they would pick. And I can't change this because I don't have rights to change it. We can set up the files so that you can't, once they're complete, you can't change them. So, but their ticket, here's like a decision letter. I don't know if we've got the actual ticket in here. These are like hearing notices. That's just a hearing notice. But I wanted to show you their citation notice, which that's probably in the file itself, which is going to be over here. And so sometimes we have to do a, I don't know if I got that in here. There's a few tickets, but I want to see. No, I can find one later if you're interested. But it's just we had to match in this customer's example, we had to match the court system and the municipal magistrate's form. So. I think that if we went in here to...
With the house licenses, when you pull the report to run and bill everybody each year, can you pull off of the owner's module so that we can mark who the new houses that are going to be rentals are?
So what was the question again?
Are you just going to go off the previous licenses that we've had?
when we, I don't know if I understand the question.
I think the issue is that, we've got, when we do for our rental housing license program, when it comes time for renewals each year, right now we're kind of stuck with using whoever we sent a license to last year.
Okay.
But I presume the system, or could the system basically use the new homeowner information? So we're asking, Shauna?
Right, if we could put, because we get a lot of COs, so if we know that it's going to be a rental, and we could put a little notation in the homeowners module, that will pull it and add it to our list of bills for the following year.
Yeah.
So they also get a letter stating that their housing license is now due.
So you do some sort of like a sale receipt, or when somebody sells a property.
Yeah, we do a point of sale inspection.
Yep. Okay.
And then
we'd love it.
Yeah, we'd love it if it triggered this. Hey, when it's renewal time next year, these guys should get a renewal for that housing license as well.
Because they're the property owner now.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. We can we can do it with the sale permit or whatever that or the sale inspection or whatever that gets done. But the other thing too is that we're going to have that for that parcel number, we're going to have the updated assessor data. So that's another way to do it.
Right. So we just pull that. We just, on every renewal, we just pull the current owner on file.
Yeah, and in some cases we do. We might integrate with the water billing system, or some billing system. They sort of where we can sort of say, okay, well, who's paying the water bill, and we can help determine rental properties with that, because if the renter's paying the water bill, then I've seen us do that before. But it's really easy when there's a sale permit. So.
And that's something we can do on our end, or do we have to ask you for that?
We would set that up when we do your setup. So, to set it up so that when the notices are generated, we're going to check. And usually the renewal process is it has to be configured, right? Because everybody's got different notices, different fees, different fines, different processes. But we do a lot of rental inspections. That's something that a lot of jurisdictions are doing.
You guys, I'm sorry, but I have to drop off now. If you need anything, just let me know, okay?
All right.
Thanks. All right, cool. Thanks. Right. Any other questions?
I have. We also run a rehab program, and we use with the current system to manage our applications, write specifications, and even put out Word documents. Is that something that any other communities are using?
I'm sure we're doing something like that somewhere. It sounds to me like somebody's doing an application, and then do you guys get grants or something like that?
Yeah, we get federal grants.
Okay.
We have a homeowner rehab program, the first-time home buyer program, and then a storefront renovation. Yep.
Yeah, we can set those up in the system as they could be general case types, or we can also set them up. If there's a property involved, sometimes it's good to set them up as a something that's more, looks a little, it doesn't sound like there's any fees associated with it. Does it have fees, or?
Not that the homeowner's paying, where we get into calculating out numbers is if we're, if it's not a grant, if they're actually taking a mortgage out on their property and they're making a monthly payment. Right now we're calculating that in a spreadsheet and then inputting it by hand.
Okay.
Really,
yeah, we can do any kind of process or setup, and the cool thing about our subscription is that we can do it anytime you want. So like a lot of times our customers will get started and they'll start thinking of more things that make sense to put in the system. And if you don't change your number of named users on the staff, it's the same people, there's no additional charge really for to help set that up, right? So so that's definitely something we can do. We can do any kind of template emails. We can create the case. It's just a housing rehabilitation case. And then we can collect the information, any kind of information. If there's a form that gets filled out now, we can create the custom fields to have that form in the case. It can also be an activity, that has the form on it. And then we can, calculate any kind of things, and we can also, set up the workflow process for those types of cases so that you can, track your responsiveness and make sure that nothing just falls through the cracks. So.
I do have another question about that. So, like, if there was a loan program and they had to repay it, could the resident access that on their side of the website and make the payment through there?
So, I know we're doing some excise tax with some of our customers. So, which basically, we do business licensing, and then people will actually pay their sales tax online with CitizenServe, right? So, I think that we would be able to set something like that up, because it's an activity. It's like kind of a monthly activity that the citizen would complete. So, if they're associated with, a program.
With the housing license, we have, they download their tenant list, and can we go ahead and run a report on all of the tenant lists, or do we have to open each manually to get a list of all the tenants?
Tenants in an apartment building?
Well, okay, everything that's been downloaded for the housing license, can we run a report to just pull all of those, or do we have to open each housing license individually and download?
Well, we can set up, if you want to have a report, like I said, we do unlimited custom reports. So if part of your job, you need to have a report that allows you to kind of see them all and drill down on each one if you want to see more information, we can do that. So it's sort of, you're saying all the tenants associated with a particular rental license?
No, in the city, because I know the tax department needs of all the tenants, and for them they have to open it individually. Can they take the housing license portal and open all the downloads so that they have one, or do they have to open them all individually?
Well, we can set up, if it sounds like you want somebody to be able to go to the portal and see the information. Is that
right.
Correct? So we can set up a report that we put on the portal. And so let me show you a real quick example of that. So this is one of our customers here, and I just know that they have like some reports on their portal. So if I go to reports, they have like active business licenses here. This is probably a decent example. I can go in and say I want to see, whatever alcohol, right? And I could put in the business name or part of the business name, or I can see them all. And here's my list, right, of all the alcohol licenses issued in this city, right? And I can download it to Excel. So here's my Excel spreadsheet of all the licenses. So that's, we can provide any kind of report online for, consumption by the public. It could be related to rental licenses, business licenses, building permits, whatever.
But if they downloaded their license, you couldn't open everybody's up at once to see all of the downloaded licenses, or?
Well, we can set up their license so that only they can see their license. Or there's a search feature too that's available, but you can turn it off. Some of our customers turn it off because they don't want to provide everything. But so here I can see, I can search on building permits, And it's their choice to kind of say, we want to provide this. Like if I want to see all the residential building permits that have been issued in the city, I can click on this and I can see them all. And then you can see a list, right? And then there's another feature in Citizen Serve where I could drill down and see the permit. So I could drill down on this, but they have that turned off right now. So I can't see it. These are all their issued permits here. So there's different ways to do it. You know, one of them is with the portal. We found that there's kind of a wide spectrum of what people want to do with it. Some people don't want to have a citizen portal. Some people want to have the citizen portal and provide all the information in the world to the public so that nobody calls them. And then some people are kind of in the middle. You know, they might just provide a report online of, hey, here's permits issued, and you know, people can look up really specific information as opposed to providing the search feature, which provides more information than a specific report. So.
Anything else from our end, or? Yeah. All right, Jim. Yeah, no, thank you so much for putting this together. So really informative and helpful. You know, showing us. I mean, a lot. I mean, the system can do a lot of different things. So, which is really cool. So.
Yeah. Well, we work with you know, I mean, we do a lot of different types of things, and we you know, it's always permitting, licensing, cases, code enforcement. But you know, like the city of Philadelphia uses us for the air management stuff, EPA related permits, and you know, state of Florida fire marshal uses us statewide for boiler inspections, explosives dealer licensing. So we can do a lot of different things with the system. You know, it's because we've been in business for a long time with the same software. You know, it's kind of evolved into a very configurable system where it's easy for us to make our customers happy. So.
Cool. Well, yeah, and that's what, yeah, that configurability, I mean, that'll be important to us. I mean, with our current system, I think, you know, we've kind of come to the end of its flexibility, you know, and this is why we're looking to the next thing now. So, yeah, no, really great features here. So, appreciate it. Anybody else?
Okay, well.
So, yeah, nothing from our end. So, no, thanks again, Jim.
All right, great. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. All right,
thanks, you too. Thanks.